So I'm now going to call the meeting to order. We'll begin with our ethics statement, conflict of interest reminder per NCGS 138A-15E. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of the board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or an appearance of conflict of interest with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. Hearing none, if during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair of the board. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. And we need to approve our January minutes. We can review those silently. If we've already read them, I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve the January 2025 minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We do not have any public comments. Guest discourse. Okay. Correspondence from authorizer. All right. And our superintendent report.
All right. Hello, everybody. Well, tonight is the big reveal of the 2025 to 2030 strategic plan draft. I made you each a folder, and someone asked Mr. Kaiser to refill it. Just because I thought it might be easier for you all to see it as we go through it, and then I can make some comparisons to what we had versus what we have now. Before I dig into that, though, I just wanted to go back to the old one and then give you all a copy of this one because it's over. But I did want you all to know that we feel pretty confidently that we achieved all of the, completed all the action steps that we had in our initial strategic plan. And so the objectives were, we will ignite student performance and eliminate needless gaps in student achievement. We did that with all of our subgroups last year, meeting growth, and the year before that as well. Objective 2 was to reflect the cultural attributes common to high-performing K-12 schools. We've spent time in K-12 high-performing schools. We moved from block scheduling to a 6-period day. We have put things into our schedule that were helpful to further boost the achievement of our students, including innovations, some CTE courses. We also backed into 8th grade some of the upper-level courses for high school so that allowed our high-performing 8th graders to continue to move forward with Math 1, English 1, World History, Spanish. And then we will embody the values that are defined in the new strategic portraits. So some of the things that we said we were going to do were grow capacity through targeted professional development, implement curriculum, complete vertical alignment. A lot of those things we put into place. Data-driven decisions, PLCs, mid-year and end-of-the-year evaluations, semester self-assessments, all of those things are still being done. Quarterly portrait of a Cougar recognition, map awards, assemblies, visible learning, structured observations. And I could keep going with our code of conduct we put in place for the adults, unified club, all of the things that were in that original strategic plan. We feel like we are ready to as a springboard for the 25-30 document. So just so you all know where the next version of this is coming from, it is coming to building off of what we have already accomplished from 21 to 24. So the new version, we stuck with the same format simply because that is what is familiar to our customers, to our audience. They know what it looks like. So what we did was we updated the pillars. We are now focused on excellence, growth, and engagement. Those are on the front page and they are embedded throughout this document. You have your table of contents next. There is a note for me that just explains what this is, why it exists, why it's important.
I love the pictures.
Just wait. Something that was not included in the original that we have included in this one is the strategic outcome goals that you all have approved for us. So with that in mind, this document will be more of a living document than the previous one because the outcome goals only get us through the 25-26 school year. So once those get updated, we'll have to go back and update this. The other thing is that at the bottom, the mission-specific outcomes for the portrait of a student have been updated in this strategic plan. So if and when it is approved, we'll need to go back and revise these outcomes and approve those as well. Does that make sense? Okay. Our core values, we have tightened them up a little bit to be more specific about the things that we believe. We believe every child deserves to be treated with dignity. We celebrate fearless thinking. We encourage risks as essential to growth. We create a safe and nurturing space for knowledge to flourish. We honor every child's uniqueness, and we cultivate a culture of resiliency. Next part. What we did with this was, after talking with the team, and I'll show you who all those voices are in just a moment, we wanted to better align these portraits so that there was more of a symbiotic relationship between what was expected of staff and what was expected of students. And so we collectively decided that we were going to take the portrait of a staff member and the portrait of a student and make them into one portrait of a Cooper. You'll see that in a moment. But you have, again, some updated expectations that we have of our staff, some expectations that we have of our students. And then the next page is the image of what that looks like on one page. So you see at the top, excellence, growth, engagement, and then the Cougars. We landed on 2 sets of words because we think that initially when we put this into place in 2021, it was a little bit difficult. Some of the language that we used had to be adjusted to make it more age appropriate for K-5. So in that regard, and still kind of thinking about it that way, the teachers actually pulled out from the portraits these words and then recognized which fit with which that were more appropriate for K-5 and 6-12. So you can kind of already see which set of words would be most appropriate for K-5 and which will be most appropriate for 6-12, meaning they will be able to understand them better. So the left column is kind, respectful, persistent, loving, and responsible. Those are K-5. Then 6-12, humble, resilient, resourceful, empathetic, and accountable. But note, however, that there are arrows pointing in both directions. The ultimate goal is by the end of high school, if they have been with us for the duration, that they will be able to do all of these things. And then at the top above that, it says an honorable leader, because we think that all of these words together culminate into someone being an honorable leader. And so this is the staff and students portrait of a Cooper document. We will use these words to recognize our students monthly, as we do now with character awards. We will continue to honor 2 staff members at the end of each year for the portrait of a Cougar, and as well as a senior for the class of whatever class it is that's graduating in the commencement ceremony every year. Then you have the community portrait. Tighten some of those things up as well, uphold high expectations for themselves, actively engage. And the last one was actually written by the team of teachers, which I thought was really great, and they were really excited to put that in there. Invest in the school community through volunteering, financial support, and advocacy. And then on the next page, you will see what that looks like in one picture. Underneath New Charter School, the direction alignment commitment needs to be updated to excellence, growth, and engagement. But thankfully, this is just a draft, so we will get that adjusted. as we continue to go through this. Like I said, the pillars have shifted now. We're focused on instructional excellence, student growth, and community engagement. There's still 3 critical objectives, 5 focus strategies, and 20 action steps. Those numbers are the same as the original strategic plan. We didn't intend for it to kind of land that way, but it just did. So it's kind of nice to have that consistency. All right. These are the objectives that we have determined are going to guide us for the next 5 years. We will provide an academic experience that prepares all students for success in the world beyond the classroom. We will continue to cultivate and strengthen family and community partnerships, providing a supportive and inclusive school culture. We will effectively manage resources to ensure student success and organizational sustainability for years to come. Those quotes were pulled directly from the mid-year survey as well. So both of these NC parent quotes were pulled from the mid-year survey, which I thought were lovely. We changed it up a little bit. Last year we had everything broken apart. We had the objectives, and then we had the strategies, and then we had the action steps. But it flows a little bit better, I think, in this way. You see the objective, you see the focus strategy, and then you see the action steps. So, again, we'll provide an academic experience that prepares students for success in the world beyond the classroom. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to create a feedback-rich environment that promotes student growth and continuous learning. And we will equip students with a strong academic foundation as well as practical skills that they need to succeed in the future. Underneath that are the steps that we are going to try to take in the next 5 years to accomplish these objectives. By focusing on overall effort, strategies, and improvements rather than just the final grade, while also helping students to see and understand that growth is a process. We will provide teachers with professional development on best practices for delivering meaningful, actionable, and supportive feedback. We will assist students with tracking their progress over time, helping them to see the tangible results of their efforts, encouraging them to continue striving for improvement and reinforcing the value of hard work. And then offering clear guidelines on how students can improve and the criteria for assessing their work. We will encourage interdisciplinary projects that combine multiple subjects to reflect how academic subjects are interconnected in real life. We will develop age-appropriate assignments that challenges students to think critically, analyze information, and solve complex problems by incorporating case studies, debates, Socratic seminars, and simulations. We will provide or participate in career exploration programs. JOCO Works we currently participate in, JOCO Pro we will be participating in, as well as internships, career fairs, and guest speakers from various professions to help students develop practical skills that will serve them in the workplace. And design projects and assignments that mirror real-world challenges, requiring students to apply academic knowledge in practical situations. There's a lot of emphasis coming right now to schools around career and tech and preparing students beyond high school, maybe not necessarily for college, but for trades and for different fields. And so there's a really heavy focus on internships right now, and a lot of internships are becoming more and more available, not just to public school, traditional public school kids, but also to charter school students. So we're really excited about what that is going to look like. This one was really born from conversations that we have had together as a board about the engagement level of our families and the sense or lack thereof of a community feel at Neuse Charter School. And so the teachers were really intentional about writing this in a way that fostered an increase in engagement, and we're more particular about the things that we were going to do. So we will promote family and community engagement, partnership, and volunteerism across campus by creating an easy-to-navigate volunteer sign-up system to simplify the process for parents and guardians, to volunteer on campus, and we will offer free background checks during September of each school year. We offered free background checks in February of this school year after we had our board meeting, and we were talking about the lack of volunteers and how do we make that better. And we had a tremendous number of parents who took us up on that offer, and we're very excited that now we have a significant number of volunteers on a daily basis at school. So we're very excited about that. We think that that was definitely a win, so we're going to incorporate that into something we do annually. And we chose September because August is so much of a fluctuation of enrollment. We don't really have our enrollment set until day 21. And so that lands early September. So that's why we did then. Offer quarterly family-friendly events, such as picnics, open houses, curriculum nights that encourage families to visit and engage with the campus community. Establish strong connections with local organizations and businesses to create opportunities for students and families. Again, internships, mentorships, and workshops. And we will celebrate the contributions of volunteers through an annual Portrait of a Community Member Award, just as we do the Portrait of a Cooper Award. We will also recognize a community member who has volunteered throughout the school year with public recognition and an annual appreciation event to highlight the impact of family and community involvement on campus. That really came from the philanthropy group doing their annual dinner and recognizing that that is something that could easily be translated for parent volunteers. Maybe you're not able to donate money, but you can donate your time, and that's just as important. And then we will continue to build an inclusive, cooperative, and supportive school community by ensuring the campus is fully accessible to all students, providing necessary accommodations, and promoting awareness of the importance of accessibility for all. Developing mentorship and peer support programs where veteran Neuse students can guide and support new to Neuse students, thus creating a sense of belonging and community from day one. And empowering students to take the lead on campus initiatives and supporting them in creating events, celebrations, and clubs that reflect the needs and values of the student body. Some of that's already in the works. Last year, I helped 2 seniors start with a low club, and that has turned into a really robust club this year. And a lot of that is just kids talking to kids. It's amazing that they don't talk to each other and they'll sit next to each other and text, but it's really amazing what they can do when they put their minds together and communicate. And then we will manage resources to ensure student success and organizational sustainability for years to come. And there are several specific action steps here. We will schedule a day of giving for all members of the Neuse community to cultivate a strong culture of philanthropy. Collectively, the board of directors will lead by example by giving during the July board meeting. Staff members will participate on the first work day, and then families will participate on the first day. I need you all to know that this comes from my experience as a board member on the Girls at the Run of the Triangle board. When I went for my retreat in the summer, the first day we concluded with, we are all going to collectively give right now. QR code is up, give what you can. The point is not that you're giving a boatload of money. The point is that you are making a contribution in some way, shape, or form financially to support the cause of which we serve as board members. And we have to be able to lead by example. There's 100% participation by the admin team. All of my directors contribute to this in one way, some way, based on whatever they are able to give. And we want to be able to keep doing that, and to be able to say we have 100% board participation, we have 100% staff participation. We have to keep making that X. And there's no expectation of what will be given, but it's leading by example. It's it's just like when we do.
Don't let Emily hear you say that.
Well, we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. And I think this is a great way to do it. And it was a really powerful thing too, because I had no idea that was happening. I went to my training for Girls on the Run and sat down and having a great time, and they were like, all right, open your wallets. And I'm like, I have 4 kids and the school year starts in like 2 weeks. Right? And so it was just whatever you can. So that's what happened, but everybody gave something and they were done. Like they were done for the year. They don't have to ask anymore. Boom, done. 100% board participation, done. We're gonna honor staff members for their years of service with an annual retention bonus, which we already have into place. But this was something that you all had asked for us to consider as well, was a graduated leave schedule, which is not quite as easy as one would hope, but awarding bonus leave days is. So what we have thought about doing is the same scale, 0 to 2 to 3 to 5, this amount of money and this number of bonus days. And that just goes into their bank. And it rolls over year over year, and that's just an additional bonus for their time here leaves. So we are working on that now, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in finance. We will budget to yield an annual surplus, as we have been doing, but that needs to be stated, obviously. That's always the intent. We will complete the construction of the Lower Academy building. Yes, we will continue campus safety initiatives, school resource officer, applying for the Safe Schools grant, installing the Rhino Wear. And then we will develop a comprehensive marketing plan to attract more families connected with the mission of the school.
Has the Rhino Wear already been installed?
This morning.
Yeah, all the permanent buildings.
And number 6 really comes from the feedback from the first semester survey from families when asked, are you familiar or aware of the mission of the school? Overwhelming majority said no. Got work to do there. Next page are the acknowledgements of the people, groups who put their time, effort, and energy into helping us draft this document. Those names are at the bottom, just so you all know. There was 5 after-school meetings and 1 virtual day meeting with these people, and they have had a heavy hand in this entire process. And it's important to me that, 1, you all know I just didn't write this thing and put it in front of you, but 2, that they are recognized for going above and beyond to put this together. So, this is the first draft. The entire staff has it as well. I told them that I was going to give it all to you, let you all marinate on it, maybe in April, come back, share your thoughts, comments, questions, give you some time to look at it and think through it, and then I would send it back over to them for their final thoughts after tonight as well. So hopefully in April we can finish it up.
I've got a couple questions now, is that okay?
Sure.
Like the core value and portraits, right? Those, the portrait traits, and they come directly from the core value, you know what I mean?
Say that again?
The portrait attributes,
Those come from the portraits.
they come from the portrait, okay.
Yes, sir.
And, yeah, I see that. So, is there a way we could recognize like pieces of that portrait throughout the year? You know, not just a combination at the end of the year, but maybe every month, have a word or two that we want to highlight,
We do that. We do that now. What did y'all just give out in February?
I think it was integrity.
Integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do mine by the quarter. It's 2 per quarter.
Yeah, I know you do, I just wanted to make sure we continue doing something.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. In fact, if you go across before you leave, there's 6 little faces posted with their awards. I believe how big they've gotten.
And will you include page numbers in this thing?
Yes, I will. Yes. Table of contents doesn't help if there's no page numbers on it.
And for the community involvement, the community giving, like you said, first day, like, I don't, you probably would plan for that, but that just seems like, you know,
QR codes,
yeah.
just QR codes. We'll have them out at morning carpool and afternoon carpool.
And y'all did go from July to June.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, to match the school year.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, it was a little.
As someone who's trying to make in December, I don't want to do it again in January.
Yeah, no,
Taxes.
me, yeah, same. Same, yeah.
And the bigger question is, how do you know when you've reached your goal or you've reached success?
With all of it?
Yes, like all the action steps, right? Yeah. So,
Well, to me, it's that we've achieved all the strategic outcomes that the board has given us. What follows these outcomes is how we are going to get to where you all want us to be.
And I think what would help me in that regard is if those board objectives were included in the strategic plan. Not necessarily that they have to, you know, I don't know how you do that, but I think that would kind of tie those in a little bit better for me.
These,
I'm sorry.
so what we did was we start, there's no page numbers.
Invisible page four.
Yeah, the invisible page 4.
The core values.
The strategic outcomes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed that part.
That's all right.
Okay.
And that's why this will need to be more of a living document, because as the years go, we'll have to update this page to make sure that we are still focused on the most accurate goals that you want to set for us.
So do you see this being an every year update? Once we update the strategic outcomes, we'll update the entire plan? Like next year to be a 26 or 31? Or?
No, what I think will happen, I lost the button. It's just this page will be updated. And then if you all determine that there's things outside of this that you want to include, then we would have to go into this and adjust it.
Right. Or as you achieve them,
Yes.
mark those off and work on something new.
Mhm.
Or you could put a nice little check mark beside it.
And the date.
And as far as those goals that aren't, you know, I know at the end of every year when, you know, we look at goals and if we've fallen short, you know, you do a really great job of saying, well, you know, these are the factors that I think that contributed to that we can control. These are the factors that we can't control. But maybe, you know, when we do that at, you know, when do we do that? October? Yeah. Hopefully either readjusting our strategic plan or, you know, saying, well, this is where we fell short in regards to the strategic plan. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Yeah. So I know it's a lot to read and process and all of that. It's been a challenge to put it all together. But I definitely think that it's a great roadmap for what you all want us to accomplish and what we all believe is possible. So
yeah,
I would just
I like the way it flows. from the board to give the overarching goals, and then what we're going to do for staff and students, and then break it down to the specific action steps and focus strategies.
Any gaps that you see, or do you think that if we execute on pages 5 through 16, we will deliver on page 4? Is there anything that you see as a challenge to get there? Is there anything we need to do as a board differently to help you to execute? Or is the plan that you have in place from 5 through 14 going to get us to all these outcomes and goals that we set?
The only thing that could potentially hinder us is just the unstable student enrollment, which right now we're still tracking to have more stability in 25-26 than we've had since I've been here.
Right.
That factors into the third objective, the 6th action step about a comprehensive marketing plan, so that we really now begin to message who we are, what we believe, what we do, and we can attract families who are in alignment with that. I would say the past 3 years, the introduction of the newest charter school and more of a solid footing from JCA, we've seen families that have just cast wide nets in terms of enrollment. They've applied to all 3, not necessarily feeling certain about one way or the other. We're not seeing that as much. And we knew we were seeing it because when we would call and tell them they got a spot, well, I'm waiting to hear from this school. Okay. We have got more acceptances already this year from our lottery than we had this time last year. And that to me is encouraging. It means that people are coming here because they want to be here, or they're applying here because they want to be here. That hasn't necessarily been the case, I would say, since ALA first opened. But I think the stability of the student body is really the key indicator in a lot of this. We can get them, and we can keep them, we can teach them, we can grow them. But they come and they go, and they come and they go. That makes it really difficult. But I do think what we've put together can get us where we need to be.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, y'all, obviously.
It's really nice.
Yeah,
I'll say
absolutely.
it's really nice.
You'll put a
A
lot
lot
of
of
work.
work was put in there. It's really nice.
Anybody who's ever been remotely involved in developing a strategic plan for anything knows how much work it is. And
Yeah.
it can be
It,
daunting and
it's really nice.
frustrating.
I was really proud of the teachers.
Yes.
There was one virtual day we met, and we were just gonna, I tried to be really intentional with their time, because virtual days are really meeting with parents and getting ahead on Canvas and all those things. I mean, and we met for over 2 hours. I put them into breakout groups and let them talk about the objectives and the portraits, and they were great. They were really great, and I didn't limit it to whoever could or couldn't. I just cast them. Sent an email to everybody that would like to help, and good number of people.
Very grateful for their input.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No, that's okay.
It's really nice.
All right, so then the next thing, this is an action item. Our academy directors, Mr. Grady and Ms. Dunn, are here to present our summer enrichment program. You have a copy of that in your packets as well. This is something that we present every March. It is a formality that we have to go through. So they have spent some time putting this together for you all. And just as a heads up, Michelle, if you all approve this form that you need to sign. Yep, perfect. I'll stop talking now.
So this is our enrichment program for the summer. This enrichment program provides students who are not proficient on their EOD or EOC. So you're talking, and there's a little third grade caveat to that Ms. Dunn will speak about, but you're talking 4th ELA math, 5th ELA math, and science. Well, and you can't do science this year because they're renorming the science scores. So we won't get those test scores back in enough time to be able to make an effort to close those gaps in science. 6th ELA math, 7th ELA math, 8th ELA math, and then this year also we're going to focus on the math 1, the English 2, biology, and the math 3. So these are kids that do not get to that level 3, 4, or 5 that we're going to be targeting. I'm trying to get them back out here for enrichment and then a retest. So they will receive additional instruction. They will retake their EOG or EOC. The state will take the higher of the 2 scores. So whichever one they score higher on, that's what they will take. And it can also help us give some of those what we call bubble kids that are right down the making non-proficient versus level 3, an opportunity to remediate. They've seen the test one time, they can take it again, and hopefully that pushes them up to that level 3, which will ultimately help our grade level proficiency. I'm on slide 3. So here's the criteria, which I actually kind of already went through the courses and the subjects. Again, unfortunately, we can't do science since we will get those tests back in enough time to be able to do those. And then if it's done, you can talk about the reason that you.
Our sweet third graders, they are in the third grade group to achieve law. So what that means is a third grade student can be proficient on grade level to go to fourth grade if they need to be proficient either on the BOD, the beginning of grade test, or on the EOG. They have to have either a 207 math score in reading, or they have to have a 725 lexile level in MCAS, that's their reading level. So if they hit one of those marks, then they are a good cause exemption and they pass read to achieve. Students who do not meet any of those, they will be invited to the summer enrichment reading camp. We have to have 72 hours per the state. So what we would do is we would hold it May through June 25 this year. And it would be those students who have not yet passed. So it would be 7:30 to 12:30 for teachers, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 12 for the students. Teachers will get an additional 4 hours to prepare, and then we will test them again on June 26th.
So those third graders have to meet one, at least one, right?
Yes.
But not all.
Not all of them, just at least one.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm looking to the requirement of 72 instructional hours, and I know I may be the only one that has this form, but on here it's listed 32 instructional hours. Is this something
Something completely different.
Okay.
RTA is a whole nother different section. Yes.
Got it.
So, yeah. It's another beast in itself.
Michelle, what we're asking here is that we are given the opportunity to reteach and retest the EOG.
Okay.
Yes.
To this, the read to achieve would not be factored in.
Right.
Right.
Okay, then I'm on slide 6, which is the remediation and retest. Again, third grade math, if they're not a part of Read to Achieve, 4th through 8th math, 4th through 8th ELA, math 1 EOC, math 3 EOC, and English 2 EOC. The remediation window would be May 19th through June 3rd, and then we have our testing dates set. It's May 21st, May 29th, and June 4th. We did not want to put on there, we're testing this one this day because we really wanted to be strategic when we get our EOG scores back and our EOC scores back to see which ones we wanted to kind of line up and maybe give a little more instruction to. So that's why we didn't say we're going to test this one on this date. We kind of left that up in the air and make those decisions when we get the scores back. So what we are asking is for approval of this enrichment program. Notice we didn't call it a summer program, call it an enrichment program for our kids to hopefully not have any negative connotation to that.
If a third grader is not proficient in with his or her reading EOG, they do the read to achieve and not.
Yes. Yes. It is a test that is broken up a little bit more. Passages are, so whenever you see one, it's not 5 straight paragraphs. It's broken up, 1 paragraph question, 1 paragraph question. Any more questions about any?
I have a semi-related question. So I see that like MAP scores can count as a requirement that if they meet that score. But I do have a question about like the timing of the map testing this year. That happened like maybe 2 days into the fourth quarter. Is there a reason that that was so early this year? Because that left out a significant chunk of learning. I imagine there's a lot of kids that might have hit that maybe a little bit later in the year.
We moved math up because spring break was so late, giving us about 4 weeks once we returned to complete all of the testing for K-12. So we had to move up the non-standardized testing grade levels so that we could get them done and then get the rest of MAP done, take the break, come back and start EOGs and EOCs.
Additionally, we've been doing after-school tutoring since the middle of February, and I know that once I got my map data back and I did the same thing. We sat down and we looked at our data, and where we had 8 kids that were in 8th grade EOG tutoring, which I'm helping with the math, I was able to identify about 4 or 5 more that are right there, again, using that phrase bubbles, that are right there kind of in that bubble where they could get to a 3, or really some that are projected as a level 3 that could slip down if a kid has an off testing day. So we were able to identify some of those kids and also pushed it into tutoring. Then I also gave that list of kids to my teachers so that they could start some small group instruction in their classroom. So it not only because of the reasons that she said, but it also gives us a clearer picture of what Ms. Dunn is going to make on her test, and then if I need to help Ms. Dunn with this particular subject, then I'm going to do that. I've got the rest of the quarter to do that.
And I believe the K-1-2 teachers are using those scores to create academic boot camp, if you will, to get them ready for the next grade levels. And they're looking at the deficiencies that they have, and they're really pouring into those kids for the rest of the school year because they have the availability to do that. Everybody else is getting ready for the kids.
It
was an unintended benefit.
it was great.
It's really driving instruction
It is.
in our classes
Is that what we use for growth, for calculating growth?
for those state report.
No,
No.
the state calculates the growth for us on the EOGs.
EOGs, it's just the 3rd grade,
Okay.
3rd and 8th graders.
And we can't predict that. We can't guess it ourselves. We can look at how our students perform and determine what we think the growth is, but growth is really based on every kid that takes that test in the state. So,
On the school-wide level, yes. On the individual level, like on a map, works, that's the individual.
for math,
Yes.
the EOG growth is completely different. Are you talking about,
No, I was
How
asking
we-
about school growth because I'm
School
concerned
growth.
that if we're testing that early, we're not going to be growth because you're not testing them when the end of the year is. So
it's not a determination.
The MAC testing is really just used,
For driving.
right, as a assessment tool to see where the students are at and a projection.
That basically serves as a predictor for us. It serves as a predictor to let them know where we possibly will land, plus it also lets us get a comparison to some national awards. And math is geared by windows. So when you're taking a math, you're within the window of, the other cohorts nationally that are doing.
So estimated number of kids that will be participate in the enrichment program,
We're going to open it to anybody that does not get to level 3. And
like how many do we know, like from previous years, what that would be?
whatever, I tell you a way to figure it out. If you go based on your proficiency from last year, whatever percent of the kids, and you multiply it by your total population, that's what it would be. I mean, I would say,
Each class.
I mean, you hope it's going to be less because as less as possible because you would love to get them all at 3s right there, But I would say 15 to 20 off the top of my head, maybe more in some subjects versus others.
We tend to not have as many children attend as we would like.
37.
That's one of the reasons why we changed the date to closer to the end of the school year. It's much easier to just tell your kiddo, I know the last day was Friday, but we're going to come back for 1 more week, as opposed to giving them 2 weeks off and then, oh, hey, guess what? We're going back for a week of school. So we tacked it on to the very next week, which would be the first week of summer, hoping that we would have more families participate.
New charter next summer. Extended.
Extended.
Determine whether or not they Yeah, go to the next grade.
Good.
That's
So-
something you
so-
can hold over your head.
So if you do not choose to participate, you have, you as the administration have the option to hold them back. What if they choose to participate, but they still don't meet the growth objectives that you've set forth for them?
Retention is all encompassing. It's attendance, it's grades, it's.
So it's subjective to what y'all decide, and if you make an effort, then there could be an option for you to go on with your peers versus staying behind. So if student A decides not to
Yes.
participate with student B, and they both would have scored the same, there's a chance student B.
Right,
Okay.
and we have retention meetings mid-April, so families know prior to even taking the EOGs where their child stands, whether they're close or not close, and in those conversations, if necessary, we can tell that family, look, if they do not pass their EOG, this is gonna happen, right?
So
Or if they don't
that
pass,
does happen.
and they don't go to summer school, but that would be like the contributing final factor
Right.
for all the other things,
Right.
right? They've missed 46 days of school. I can't good conscience pass them on if they don't pass their
I
EOG.
understand.
Right.
Enrichment, not summer school.
Yes, there you go, enrichment.
Mom's PC.
Want to be
That
positive. Want to be positive.
was my idea too.
I've caught myself a couple times.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
Estimated cost for this program for us to be able to deliver this?
About, well, that's a great question. It's gonna really determine how many kids participate, how many teachers we need. I would say last year it was about 5,500. My hope is we have more kids and 7,500. So, we'll just have to see.
Do you already have the teachers lined up, or you just
Some of them we do.
But it really helps that kid who's taken the test one time
Right.
go back, get a couple more hours of remediation, and then they take the exact same test again. I know last year, when we did it, we were able to flip in North Duplin about 3 or 4 English 2 scores. And when you have a student body that's so small, you're talking 70 kids to take English 2, 3 or 4 kids is pretty impactful on their overall grade level proficiency. So
Anything else we can do to encourage participation of our kids?
More fun.
Candy?
Approve it.
I think it just comes down to direct conversation with parents about, here's where you sit. These are your options. That's kind of
That's where
how I
we
take it.
I'd love to know.
Right.
I know it's frustrating when you have a student that needs to participate in the enrichment program and can't get the candidates to.
We had some that participated last year that didn't show up on the day of the test. That was tough. That was really tough.
Is there a retest date?
I really think having it this fast of a turnaround, we'll have so much more participation with the 3rd grade math and very good.
I think it's a great benefit. We just need to be able to sell it
Oh, yeah.
as a,
So you need more approval.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the charter school program as presented.
second.
I have a motion and a second to improve the 2025 NCS enrichment program. Any further discussion? And then all in favor, aye. All opposed? Motion carries and it has passed.
Thank y'all.
So I'd like
Thank
to
you.
Go ahead, well, sign this now.
Thank you, yes, please.
Turn that back in tomorrow.
Let's see, today is the 31st.
31st, March April Fool's
Oh,
Day.
my God.
Jury duty.
Tomorrow should be a fun day.
No, it
April
Nope.
Fool's, April Fool's Day, jury duty.
Not.
Actually have to.
I do have jury duty tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Have you called to see if they need?
Yes, and they need me. I'm so excited. I want a whole criminal trial in like 2 weeks. My $12 gift card.
Come back from that.
So I got called for jury duty, I guess it was maybe in December, but they didn't need me, so.
But I got the called and said, yeah, we need you bigger day Thursday.
To tamper that excitement.
Better luck next time.
Yeah, that's what Lindsay said. Don't be excited.
It's a red flag.
The next thing is just an update on the Power School breach from earlier this year. I asked Mr. Williams if he would just share a little bit about that, so you all have a better understanding of where we are now.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys since this all happened, and it's kind of like we're at the autopsy phase now. It's been pretty much put to bed. For those of you who didn't see it in the news, Power School had a global breach. And it's very important to know that this was not a Neuse Charter breach. This was not a North Carolina breach. This wasn't even a United States breach. This was a global Power School breach. There was absolutely nothing anybody at our level, all the way up to the state level, could have done to stop it. The breach occurred basically through a backdoor contractor. Power School found a lot of holes in their security that they have since tightened, but it's going to be kind of a moot point because the entire state's moving away from Power School as of June. We'll be transitioning to Infinite Campus, and in those conversations I've had with them, their security is a lot tighter. There was basically 2 tables that were breached and leaked out. The state and the federal government has reassured us all that the data did not get out into the wild. It was prevented from getting out to the wild. The 2 tables contain basically what would be known as directory information. The only troubling thing is there were social security numbers. For students globally, there was 1,000 social security numbers leaked, of which I could say 0 were at Neuse Charter School. None of our students had their social security numbers leaked. As for teachers, there was about 300,000 globally. We had about 381 of those. Now, that being said, I cannot promise you that all those were actually accurate social security numbers, because several years ago we started to just basically fill in that field. So once the state did not require a social security number to be in there, Power School still wanted a number in there, so not necessarily accurate. The people who were impacted were notified directly by Power School. Our guidance from our lawyers, from the state's lawyers, from everything else is, this is not your breach, this is Power School's breach. They have taken full FERPA, COPPA, all the U's. They've taken full notification rights, and they have sent out all the notifications to those people who were impacted. I myself got one. They offered 2 years of credit monitoring with it. It does work. It works very, very well. I opted them on it, and at their recommendation, they suggested that, put a fraud alert on. I did that. We replaced my wife's car, and sitting there in the dealership and thinking, wow, this is taking a lot longer than it usually does. And come back, it's like, oh, you've got a fraud alert on your credit report. It works. Mm-hmm. So they had to go through all that. So
I did that too.
Yeah. So if you were impacted, you would have been notified by Power School at this point. So if you have not gotten one, which Chris, I think, would probably be the only person in the board table that would have gotten that notification.
I got that.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for me on this?
Any questions for Brad?
We did follow state. We notified our insurance as soon as we got it, but it was just, hey, we're there, we're part of it, but we were told specifically by DPI, this is not yours. This is Power School's.
Maybe had any response from parents concerned about it?
And very little from teachers. Actually, the only response I've really got from teachers are, I got this email, is this legitimate? And yes, it is. Sign up for it if you'd like to. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
I think oftentimes in today's world, with the technology the way it is, I think we've kind of become accustomed to getting those notices periodically.
Well, fortunately, we like I said, did a lot of things. We started taking out social security numbers a long time ago and just basically putting in generic numbers just to
Placeholder.
It's a required field that was a leftover, so those are there. Most of the information that came out was, like I said, revenue information, first name, last name.
The last thing on my report is the board grievance policy clarification. You told me to put it on there, and I cannot remember the last thing what it's for.
Yeah. Excuse me.
We
Was it
couldn't
the-
make heads or tails.
Yeah, we talked, when we talked about it, and you were gonna go in and modify it.
So,
And then bring
interestingly
it back.
enough, what has happened since then is every, the end of every month and the beginning of every month, Epicenter, which is the database of documents for the state, we have to upload certain documents. They go through, review them, is the general statute correct, all of that. So, the grievance policy is the one that just came up. So I went ahead and sent it in. And I would just recommend that we wait to hear back from them. Would that be all right?
Yeah.
I just,
It was-
I took the original that we have, which is,
We looked at it,
This-
and it was, there was a section that was duplicative.
yes, this part here. This whole grievance policy and procedures. Which is what we should be following.
There was a paragraph that was within the policy
Yeah.
that was,
And it's in here.
Okay,
I'm just gonna have them look at it
okay,
and send it back, whatever they suggest, and then I can just bring that back to you in April.
okay.
I think I specifically remember that they didn't reconcile. Like it was not clear which policy was, like which procedure was to be followed. Like they were sort of two separate procedures. And so when we were having to deal with a grievance that was before the board, we were unclear about which one we should follow. Procedural.
What, I think what Dr. Blackwell and I, when we looked at it, I think what we figured out was that one was an older version that probably got left in there
Yes.
instead of being pulled out when the other one got updated. That was, I think that's kind of what we concluded.
Yeah. But I would suggest that we leave all of it in there and send it to them,
Okay.
and then let them say, this needs to come out, or this needs to, whatever. If they're really.
And if they don't, we
Like
probably do
experts.
need to, once it comes back, whatever they say, but we probably still need to revise it.
In April, I can let you all know what happens,
Yeah.
and we can go from there. Since it's already time of the year to put that in there anyway.
Okay.
That's all I have for my board report.
Okay. What about the after-school care? Oh, okay.
Let me keep going.
Yeah, just keep moving,
All right.
move right on in.
Very good. Next are the two financial reports for February and for January. I will let you all look at those. Essentially, as of February 28th, which by now it's changed because it's the end of March, we were at a little over $4.3 million. I'm kind of running through this quickly because I'm super excited about this next thing. Okay, so you then have the Finance Committee meeting agenda, that is in there. I want to talk about item number 6, which is this, after-school care proposal. Okay. I presented this in finance to Jeremy and Jason with Ms. Heifel. Typically, you all want to see 3 quotes from 3 vendors. I will tell you that I reached out to the YMCA, and I reached out to the Boys and Girls Club, and I reached out to Ivy Camps. They are the only ones that are willing to come to our school and provide this program for us. So with that being said, that is why you have one in front of you, because we are looking for something that is going to be offered on our campus after carpool daily, that is not run by our current teachers. We want a program that is enriching, that is exciting, and I was a teacher for a long time, and I know that there are some days at 3:15 I am not excited nor enriching. So I would much rather hand this off to the professionals. So first of all, I would tell you that if we are to approve this, we'll be the only school in Johnston County, and there's only one other school in Wake County and one other school in Durham County that is using this program. Both of those are high-performing schools. The Durham County school is Durham Academy. You know, think about Durham Academy and Alex Quigley, who just stepped off the State Board of Education. Phenomenal school. And I actually heard him speaking about it, and that's how I kind of got interested. And about the same time, they sent me an email asking if we could talk. So serendipitous, I suppose. Okay, so you can look at all of the things that they offer. The best part to me is the price. The best part is the price. There are van full services that come and pick up our kiddos and take them to after-school programs that are more expensive than this. And you can completely cut out them having to be transported anywhere else. Sample schedule, 3:15 to 3:30, they check in, they eat their snack, 3:30 to 3:45, they're moving. 3:45 to 4:45, they're doing after-school tracks. That's page 5. That's that grid that you see. And they're broken apart by months, just as an example of kind of what could be offered. And they bring everything, they provide everything. They also provide snacks. And we get 5% gross of whatever they receive.
I'll have to come to the duct tape engineering.
Right?
So, as someone who actively has a child in a busing system that gets picked up every day, I have some questions. First off, I was going to ask where the snacks provided because that's one less thing I have to pack, and he currently gets snacks. On days when it is a teacher work day, is there an option for in-person care? So, like for me, I work full time. Our teacher work days are not necessarily holidays, right? So, like our after-school care is open. And you pay an extra amount, so it's on top of what you pay for the month, for them to give all day care to, and they provide all the meals. Is that an option of some sort where they would keep kids on teacher work days when the school's closed? Just because I think that's going to be something parents are really interested in.
I had a question about that too. I'm going to go ahead and ask it since it chimes in with what she's asking. On page 9, it talks about the frequency Monday through Friday, and it says duration year-round. So I was curious what year-round.
Well, right now, they are just proposing it as an after-school program. We have not even ventured into offering full-day care for teacher work days. I want to just try to get the after-school care thing put together first. With that being said, I haven't asked, so I don't know, but I can.
I will just say that I think that would prevent me from being able to sign up for after-school care because my husband and I both work. So if we can't have guaranteed childcare on those days, we're going to have to go with a program that does have that as an option. So I think trying to go ahead and set that up to get them as much participation for folks as possible, because I would absolutely prefer him to be able to stay here with kids from his school, because he's going with kids from other schools, which has been an adventure. And so I would absolutely prefer that, but that is a real consideration I think working parents have to make, because it's hard to just find one-off day care.
Okay. Well, I have a follow-up call with him tomorrow, so I will be sure to ask that question and find out what the possibilities are for that, because I think it would also be great as a summer camp.
Or even,
Agreed. That's the other thing that we do, and our after-school care does summer camp, so he's able to do that for continuity, and I think that would be great for kids who are doing after-school care.
I think bringing the after-school care program back is a good idea too, because I think it will encourage, I think it's a selling point for the school as well.
It is, and it's something that we have actually looked at year over year, and don't ever want to offer something that I don't really believe is the right thing just to do it. And I feel like when we found this, it just felt like this would be perfect for a new charter school. It's another thing that we can offer that is different, and is then a benefit of being able to come to school here, is to participate in these kind of programs.
Have you had an opportunity to speak to any of the other schools that you were referring to regarding their experience? It sounds like you heard one administrator discuss it.
Alex was talking about it at the coalition. I can certainly reach out to him and just get some more information information, but really this is the only option I found that would come here and provide this for us. I feel really strongly that I don't want the teachers to have to run the program.
And I think we've done that before.
Yes.
And there's, oh, okay, it's grades K through 8, because I will say a lot of after-school care, they stop at a certain age. I mean, people's parents don't just stop working because they're in 6th grade, right?
Yeah.
So it looks like they handle all the enrollment,
They do.
logistics.
Where would they physically be on campus?
They would be in the commons, and then they would be in these classrooms. And if we grow or we get bigger, when we get our new building, we'll have more space to expand the program.
One other question I have, which you may not know the answer to, but just something you could ask is, how do they divide the age groups? Because that is something that I think is really important when you've got K through 8. Your littles are very different from your middle schoolers, right?
Yes.
And so
They can be exposed to.
correct. And so I'm just interested in how they divide and conquer those age groups.
Sure, great question.
That gets tricky with enrollment, you know, if you have a low enrollment, then that's hard to do.
You have to have a little enrollment in age group.
One of the other things that I liked was the potential for some of our high school students to work, either through interning or through actually being hired to support the program.
Might be something National Ultrasound you folks could do.
Yeah, it just, I am really excited about the idea of being able to bring this to.
I guess if you would try to implement it in the fall.
Yes.
I think it's a huge one.
We don't have any clubs if students are interested in education as careers or. We don't have.
Teacher cadets.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of those. And again, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic. And Jeremy can vouch for me that Jason really liked it too.
Yes, we had a good discussion about it. I was a high school line city counselor, and so I volunteered after school and all my summers in college. I think after school programs like this are important, not only for the school, for our community, but it's a drawing point because like Melissa said, Dr. Lightwell said, when these kids are applying to 3 schools, because that's what they're doing. And all of a sudden they see, well, we have this option that ALA doesn't. You know, ALA provides a bus to Riverwood, but that's it. You know, we provide an after-school product. I think it's another selling point for us as a school. And it builds stability in our school and our student body, where they come into kindergarten and stay all the way through 12th grade.
And I like that it's structured.
Yes.
And not just.
And they bring everything. We talked about it in detail. But they bring the snacks, they bring all of the art supplies, all of the crafts, all of the staff. The only thing we provide is a roof, and we get 5%. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I like the programming idea, and then the homework time too.
From a former student who was in a very unengaging after-school program that felt like torture. This would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Can we go ahead and vote on this, and then we add the other components to it, the summer school and the teacher workday? Is that an option for us to do, and that could be just an adder?
Yeah, I would think they would probably give us another one of these for full care in summer programs.
So you want us to wait?
No, I think we can go ahead and, if you all are good with this one, since this is specific to after-school care,
That way we can go ahead and start promoting.
go ahead and get that one put together, and then I'll speak with him tomorrow about these other pieces and see what we can do about that.
And it may be something that we have to implement this first, and then the next year implement the other aspects of it, depending on. I know that wouldn't be ideal, but.
No, I think it's gonna be really, really tough to base to see how well it can be utilized if it doesn't include those teacher work days, because I think that will really be.
Is there a minimum that they will, of students that they have to have participate for them to come?
No, I mean, I'm sure if I tell them I've got 5 signed up, they're gonna be like, no, thank you. All we ever talked about was the maximum numbers of caps, so.
And they'll give us promotional materials.
And this is something our parents are asking for, alternatives to the busing.
I think especially with First Baptist shutting down there.
That whole change in their setup created more of a sense of urgency around this than we had previously had.
And like Lindsay, parent of a small child, I don't want my child on a bus traveling to
Right.
Wilsonville's daily.
Correct.
But let's not work over there.
I'm just saying in general, if we keep them here, it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I agree, I
If we
agree.
keep them here, it's a good thing.
But we're gonna have to keep them here on teacher work days too. That. Take to court before that. I feel like this is mine.
That we approve the after-school care as presented.
So we have a motion to approve the after-school care program.
I was thinking.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Alright.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And I know the teachers are super excited, they won't have to be the ones to.
Yes, because when you mention after school care, they're all like, do we have to do it? Who's running it? Awesome, okay, thank you. I typically present to you all the next year budget in March. I don't have that for you tonight. We have that meeting actually with Prestige on Wednesday. Because of the transition from Acadia to Prestige and some of the hiccups that we had with that, there has been a bit of a delay. But that meeting is this week, so we can go ahead and get that piece put together and in front of you in April. I will also tell you that the Prestige CEO, once we notified them that we were going to be moving away from Prestige to Charter Success Partners, the CEO came to visit. Never had that happen before. It was an interesting conversation. We were able, Ms. Heifel and I, to just speak very candidly to him about where we were at and how we felt. And he even said that after the second repeat of the same offense, that he would have already told the company to go along and find somebody else to bother. So he was appreciative that we at least stuck around to try to do it better. I asked for and received the rest of the school year free, so that they could potentially complete the school year and work to improve. And if that happens, then we might revisit moving away from them. But he did agree to not charging us for the Prestige services through June 30th.
That's great.
And to see if there can be some improvements made. I thought that was fantastic. We'll take all that money, put that back in the budget, and we can just kind of press pause for a minute on what we're going to do until we see if there's any improvements that are going to be made. So, there's that. And finally, in the finance meeting, I shared with them that after this big packet of aftercare information, there's a letter dated February 26th that came from the Center for Safe Schools. Every year I write a grant through this organization, and we are awarded some money. Sometimes it's more than we were expecting, sometimes it's less than we were expecting. For example, the fence that was installed was, just lost my word, paid for by the grant money from this grant last year. So this year, I asked for a lot of money. I asked for $235,000 for equipment, a variety of equipment, and they gave me $50,000. If you turn over on the back, I asked for $30,000. Sorry, I asked for $40,000 for students in crisis. I got 30, and I asked for 21 for training to increase school safety, and I received 20 by me. I mean, Neuse Charter. That is
back.
You don't have back.
That is
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
fine.
Okay.
Got it?
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm good.
No, you're all right.
I was looking at the back of the wrong page.
So whenever we received this letter, we were really, really excited because we only received 40,000 total last year, and this year we got 100. So with grants, I tell them that if they give me this amount of money, this is what I want, this is what I would spend it on. Which then means that when they give me the money, the things that I told them that I was going to buy are the only things I can buy until the money is depleted. So what you have on this is on the first page, number 7, equipment was $50,000. I told them that we were going to use that money for a UTV to transport students across campus in emergency situations. We were going to get a security camera with sound for the front office. We were going to install new exterior doors with improved safety mechanisms. And we were going to purchase a portable AED. And so that is where that $50,000 is going to go. With that being said, the AED has already been purchased. Mr. Brunner is working on getting the exterior doors fixed. And the UTV is the main topic of conversation. So I'm going to press pause on that, circle back to the rest of this, and then I'll get back to that UTV because that's the last of what I have tonight. Services for students in crisis. Ms. Dunn, you might be able to speak about this too. I know we are all absolutely elated that Liz Kaufman, who serves as one of our vendors who provide services for our students in evaluations for IEPs, she has been able to come to campus. This is her first week of being here for 3 days. And she is serving kids with anxiety. She is serving kids with social angst. All of these kiddos that we all sat together and created a list, and it was an overwhelming list, by the way. A significant number of our kids need a lot of care and support in this way. And so we are taking all of that money, all $30,000, and we are essentially, we are paying Liz by the hour until that money is gone to serve as many kids for as long as she can. This gets us to, based on her rate, which you all approved in the consent agenda for contracts last year. Liz has been a vendor for us for a while. Will get us up to, is it the Tuesday before the last week of school or the Tuesday of the last week of school?
Tuesday of the last week.
So she's going to be with us from now until the last week of school.
And we're so, it's an amazing thing. It's one of the best things I've seen in a very long time for students.
So she is tag teaming with Miss Michael, Miss McGinnis, Miss Dunn, Mr. Grady, me. Like it's all hands on deck right now to get as much as we can accomplished with our kiddos while she's here.
Is she doing one-on-one things, group things?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yeah. It depends on the issue or whatever they need. So we have a priority list and then we have another list and she's just rocking it out.
And she's received parent consent
Yes.
from all the parents
Yes.
of the children that she works with.
Yes.
And some parents turned it down, and that's fine. But the overwhelming majority said yes, please and thank you. So that has been an absolute gift already.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is the training to increase school safety. We do a lot of training at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, and a lot of what's already been taught or has been received in training, we are now going to be able to offset it with the $20,000 grant. We have spent $21,000 on training, and so we're going to get almost all of that back. So that is also a really, really wonderful thing. Okay, circling back to the UTV. The last page in your folder is the quote for the UTV. And this was the cheapest one. So in finance, we had a conversation about why we need this, where did this come from? And I explained that on a daily basis, there is a call for somebody to run somewhere and get a child.
Yes.
And the playground is way over there, backfield is there, front field is here. Point being that it would allow us to get to a child quicker and allow us to transport a child back to the main office for care quicker. Right now, if somebody's hurt, we're either carrying them or we're putting them in a rolly chair and rolling them to wherever we can get them to. Neither of which I think would be approved by medical professionals, but that is just what we do because that's the best that we have. So that is the main reason for us requesting this UTV. There was conversation in finance about where we're going to keep it. And
Who's going to use it?
right, and that was the question, who's going to drive it, and how are you going to
not going to get to
And it's like, and who is not going to get to use it, and who's going to keep the keys to prevent certain high school boys from, ooh,
You're gonna have to carry insurance on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Well, right now, we are planning to store it on this side of the gym. There's already a brown shed and a white shed. So we're gonna pour concrete and build a shelter in between those two. It will back up to the gym building. It will be blocked on both sides. And we already parked the red truck right there. So unless they jump in from the ceiling and take the roof off and get it out somehow that way, it's going to be nearly impossible for them to get it out, according to Mr. Bunner. So,
Did I miss, I'm sorry if I missed this, because we were looking at the weather. It's not great. Just FYI.
I know.
Yeah. I got distracted. I was wondering why we would need something like this as opposed to just like a golf cart. That's a cheaper option.
I was wondering that why the UTV was selected as opposed to a golf cart.
So can I speak on this, Diane? Because we talked about this at length.
Please, I've talked a lot tonight.
We have
Please.
talked, this was approved by the grant.
Okay.
So the grant specified this, a UTV,
So why, I guess, why did we ask for the UTV
because
in the grant request?
I mean, that was the, that you have to answer.
So
But,
I guess that why did we select a UTV to request as opposed to a golf cart?
Well, because a UTV is more of a utility vehicle.
Oh,
It
and
goes
also-
quicker, it has seat belts
and that's also had something to do with the baseball across the street. We
Yeah.
had brought that up in.
being able to get back and forth to the track really quickly.
Because we have, since we don't have athletic fields,
Can you drive that on the roadway?
you can
Yeah.
cross the street. Yeah, you can cross the
You
street.
can do a UTV.
But because we don't have athletic fields on the site, and I mean, players walk across the street daily now with bats and shoes on their into bats. I don't get that. But that was brought into it as well. But
Keeps the bag from getting stinky.
so Jason and I really questioned the UTV. We questioned the storage of the UTV. We questioned who gets to drive the UTV, who's going to go joyriding the UTV. We had a long, drawn out. Jason talks a lot, by the way, but we had a long, drawn. He's not here to defend himself. Had a long, but it ultimately come down to this is a free UTV for the campus. Jason and I agreed that there needs to be a permanent storage facility, not up here across from Pizza Inn, one of these $3,000 metal buildings, but a permanent storage unit. But long story short, it's I don't say free, it's a grant. It's money that otherwise would go to waste. And they do make valid points. People get hurt on the playgrounds all the time, daily. We have kids across the street every single day on these fields because we don't have facilities on our campus that we have to use. Let's take it. I mean, mean, if anything, get it from the state and store it in Mr. Kaiser's garage until we get somewhere to put it, you know, but.
Well, I had a question. Is it going to, because it's the 50,000 for all of the equipment, correct? So do we have the quote yet on the improved safety mechanisms for the door? Like, if we go ahead and approve this, does that mean we're not going to be able to do all the doors?
No, everything's done. All of it's, and it's linked. I didn't print that one out because everything is done. We have spent the 50,000, including with this 30.
I will say that having been to other schools' athletic fields, and a lot of the other schools do have these UTVs. I know when Will got injured at the Princeton game several years ago, they carried him off in a UTV.
They sure did. They sure did.
Yeah, I had to say, I always had questions about, okay, this is needed, but is this needed, right? And then I realized, oh, this was a grant. Yeah, we're getting this.
Well, after we deliberated for 20 or 30 minutes, you know, Dr. Black was finally like, guys, this is free money. You either use it for this or we lose it. So, and I was like, oh, yes, you're right. Yes, I hate to say free, but
it is.
It's free.
It's not anything we would ever
buy. You can't substitute it because that's what it was approved for. So we either get it or we don't.
Do you have any idea how much insurance will be to cover that? If you're driving down the road, it's going to be...
So it's not licensed for road use. So to answer your question, you don't need actual... Are you licensed for road use?
No, we're just going to drive it straight across the street.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have any
down the sidewalk.
use for that unless the...
You're going to drive kids on it across the street?
No, there's never kids on it.
No,
you would if they were
No,
injured.
but like if we even go to track, if they are injured,
Yeah,
it should be across the street.
Yeah, if they're injured, I guess you'll run them across the street. She's talking about carrying equipment and
Water.
Water. Like I was lugging water coolers 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I threw up my back.
She's just talking about not the haul youngins back.
But I do think, if you're going to have staff people driving it, people do get injured on these quite often, that we have some kind of insurance coverage, particularly if an incident were to occur across the field, where maybe our insurance wouldn't cover. And I also want to make sure that, to me, the bigger, beyond the liability, is the issue of having processes and procedures of who utilizes this when and how, and it isn't just kind of commandeered by the baseball team, or,
Dr.
that
Black will tell you that was our first and foremost when we started talking about this was who's going joyriding. I think is what I said is joyriding.
You did.
and know that there's going to be perceptions, and so just let's make sure that we look good.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, well, we have a crisis team, I would think we limit people on that team or something like that.
So the $50,000 includes the UTV, the security camera, and the doors.
And the AED.
Okay.
But how many AEDs would that bring us to?
That would get us to 2 portable ones. The athletic department really wanted another portable one because we have multiple games happening.
Yes.
And so that was what that was for. We have 2 installed
Okay.
ones. So there is all of that. I think I'm done.
Do we need to approve that?
I don't.
We don't need to approve the, oh, no, we don't, it's by
It's not our
grant.
money.
It's not our money, it's by grant. I think we just make sure we get insurance.
Yeah.
Cover our bases in the insurance aspect of it, the liability.
And I agree with the policies and procedures, like,
Yes.
if it's being used for something other than an emergency situation, like, how is it checked out? Like, what are the, just like the state has a vehicle use policy, right?
Yes.
If you're gonna use a state-approved vehicle, you have to follow all of these things. And so, is it gonna be only licensed drivers, everything, so it's listed what the process is for that.
I think we're going to just take our bus policy and modify it for this.
policy about the US, something similar but different about the red truck too, you know. That's kind of the same idea, you know, he was again too. So, figure that out.
That's exciting though, with the grants.
Yes,
Mhm.
I was thrilled. I was thrilled when I got that.
And that Karen Fairley, I recognize the name because I think she helps out with the youth legislative assembly. She comes and volunteers.
She's fantastic. She's a great lady.
Anything else for finance?
So, Jeremy, am I missing anything?
Okay, moving on then, governance committee, again, financial oversight and finance committee. I guess we just went through that. Do we need to even leave that on there, on the agenda, since we do it under financial report? And why do we have financial oversight committee and finance committee? I don't remember.
Because that's what was on the
Yeah.
agenda, so that's what I keep putting on the agenda.
Do you remember the phone?
I have to look, but what I recall, financial oversight is supposed to be very different than finance committee. But
So on their bylaws, the financial oversight committee is the one that's listed on the bylaws.
That would supersede the finance committee.
So I think we probably could just strike finance committee. Is that okay with everyone? Sure. All right, risk management.
That's,
Y'all welcome to join if you want to. We have fun.
Sounds like
We have a good time. And it's-
Lots of
and it-
questions.
And it's once a month and it's time.
risk management committee.
Facilities committee, any updates for?
I visited with Robbie Taylor last week. He stopped by and said that they were expecting to hear something from the USDA the following week. And that was a week, Friday was a week ago. So, Friday was 2 weeks ago, and we haven't heard anything yet. Mr. Durwood called me on Thursday of last week to just update me and say that we still haven't heard anything. It was really hoping they would hear something within the next 24 hours, and I didn't hear anything on Friday either. So, as soon as I know, I will let you all know.
Strategic planning committee did
Did
not
not
meet. I don't believe we have any unfinished business. One thing I was going to mention under new business that I had communicated with Dr. Blackwell about was the contented cattle survey, this, that time of year again. And did you need me to sign that letter? I know you sent me an email, and I didn't get it, I didn't see it until a couple of days later.
Yeah, I think they need you to sign it,
Okay,
and then send it back to them.
okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
I think it's their engagement letter. I've already sent the first half of the invoice, and I've got the staff emails scheduled sent for Friday afternoon. Richard CC'd on it, so.
Okay, so that will go out this Friday?
Yes, letting them know when it's gonna open.
So they, yeah, okay. All right, and we don't have any board development or self-assessment, and we do not need closed session. So having concluded our business for this evening, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Yeah.